All power. We welcome all people of the world to witness the first meeting of the Intercommunal Council of the Revolution, also known as the People's Council, or just the Council. This is a formal public forum attributed and guided by the first peoples of Turtle Island with representatives from various liberation and revolutionary groups, with the Black Panther Party as the host, who completely and comprehensively reject the incumbent one world order currently controlled by the Transnational Capitalist Class, which upholds the destructive and predatory mechanism of the U.S. uniparty, Democrat and Republican, fascism, capitalism, racism, imperialism, nationalism, colonialism, and liberalism. This body of representatives will serve as the interim temporary mechanism of the official deliberation for the people of the current class wartime until full revolution from the current tyrannical system of capital is accomplished and a more suitable, decentralized representation of the people is established. This body of intercommunal guardians of the people will also set the example and model for decentralized local, province, state, city, town, neighborhood, councils of similar structure and representations to foster a cohesive momentum towards united sovereignty and preparation for a full withdrawal and revolution from the incumbent one world order and to facilitate full freedom from the current enslaved world. The council and all associated local formations of this council will center the Four Winds plan for united sovereignty as a starting point of common strategy, deliberation, and coordination. Each party represented to the council will encourage their members to follow suit. In conclusion, with informal sessions and give viewers tangible tools and strategies to accomplish a hard revolution and bridge groups in cooperation for that goal while maintaining their own unique systems, approach, and sovereignty. Sitting in solidarity before you in the Intercommunal Council are the following representatives in their representative party and our demographics. The Black Panther Party, represented by National Minister of Defense Bunchy Carter of the Tacoma chapter. The Panther Party, formerly known as the White Panther Party, represented by Central Committee member Doc Molotov. The Brown Berets, represented by Capitana Esty of Southern California. The Movement to Liberate Palestine, represented by Mohams. The American Indian Movement, represented by myself. The Rednecks, Patriots, and Veterans, represented by Panther Party member Mark Wayne. The Panther stance on indigenous sovereignty within colonialized land is unwavering in both ideology and practice. Consequently, it is recognized by all represented parties that the Intercommunal Council is represented within Turtle Island and must be attributed by First Nations authority. Therefore, the 10,000-plus-year-old position of the firekeeper will be revived in honor of the ancient traditions of deliberations within the Iroquois Confederacy. Every session within the council will be open, closed, and attributed by the wisdom and direction of the firekeeper. All officially recognized council, local and regional, operating under the model of the Intercommunal Council must have a firekeeper, and all firekeepers must be from First Nations of Turtle Island. This will maintain the safeguard that all deliberations for the revolution within Turtle Island will be represent and prioritize the sovereignty of First People of Turtle Island, and that no decisions concerning her future are made outside of her. Honor to Fred Hampton as host party of the Intercommunal Council. The Black Panther Party will always work to ensure that Fred Hampton's spirit of care and inclusion is observed by empowering the comrade parties and offering initial strategies of survival to be analyzed, adopted, or negotiated within its comrade parties. Call to order. We give the floor to Bunchy Carter of the Black Panther Party.
We got the numbers, we're gonna fight, so they can't fuck us. We got rights, and we want justice, so we're gonna fight. These young kids in American breadlines, billionaire criminals will never see bedtime. And they don't care who they hurt in the headlines. The fruits of our labor turning into their red wine. And they drunk off power. They begging us to go to war for them. They're cowards. It's poverty at work 70 hours. You lost civil rights with the towers. They can deny, they keep lying. They got AI to keep on spying. They make billions when people die. They gon' fuck around and wake a sleeping giant. It's cash for artillery. They keep troops on a block from Caracas to the Philippines. Fighting back with our neck on the line. But we putting their necks in the guillotine. No war but class war. The rich attack poor. What the fuck you stand for? Fight back.
First of all, I would like to state on behalf of the Black Panther Party Tacoma chapter how much every person who was here is appreciated. This is not for the weak of mind or spirit. of physicality of any kind. So the fact that you're here says a lot. There is a war that has been raging for quite some time, and it's intensifying right before our eyes. The most important thing we can do now is find ways to unite instead of finding ways to stay divided. There's a massive division movement happening right now. I don't be on social media, so I don't see a lot of it, but I always end up seeing it, if you know what I mean. This is the time when the truest definition of intercommunalism has to be enacted. And the Four Winds is a good way to bring that into existence. Much like we even created this council here, this council here to make decisions and to find a way to move together down this road towards liberation. We have to encourage those who are in our own communities to do the same. We are not going to be in a position to make decisions for every person or every group of people. These people have, our greatest duty is actually to educate the people to the point where they make these decisions for themselves. If they have a full understanding of exactly what it is they're facing, exactly what it is they're fighting, exactly what it is they should be doing in order to bridge the gap and to close the doors where some of the contradictions exist between themselves and the system, at that point, we fundamentally change those people's relationship with their own oppression. And that is when you can really start to walk people towards liberation. Right now, I have to be very careful what I say. But right now, there is absolutely an agenda that is being put into play against people much like ourselves. The belief is that if we can keep them fighting about what's different, they'll never find what they have in common. And as long as they don't find what they have in common, they'll never have power. Well, this is us finding our commonality right here. We all have our own specific fights on different fronts. Black people have specific fights. Our Native comrades have specific fights. Our redneck comrades have specific fights. Our Latinx comrades have specific fights, but we all have the same fight. And until we recognize that, the division is going to ensure our defeat. Division ensures our defeat. But what does not, what works in our favor is this. Finding what we have in common, learning the things that we can support one another on, and how we can learn from each other. There are things that each of us can draw from each other's struggle. There are things that Mark can teach me. I can definitely learn a whole lot from Esty. I'm quite sure. Mohams, I'm sure I can learn a lot from you. Dakota, I always learn a lot from you when I speak to you, whenever I see you. Me and Gio have been learning from each other for the last 5 years. Doc, I learned just how much I don't know every time I talk to you. So this is the time where we form the muscle that moves the army forward. We have to be the muscle, whether that muscle is on the front line or in the backside making decisions. This is where we flex that muscle and where we learn how to flex them together. You ever been in a situation where you had supposed to operate as a team? Like, I used to hate doing group projects in school because it's always one dummy that don't want to do what we're supposed to be doing. In this, none of us can afford to be the dummy or we all die. That's the difference here. So let's make sure that we are weighing every move that we make and every decision we make with the actual weight of the seriousness of the situation in mind. And as long as we do that, I think we'll be all right. I'm looking forward to hearing everybody's thoughts and seeing what we can bring to the table. All power to the people.
Power.
All power.
Now we'd like to open the floor to each represented party, one by one.
This is an official statement of solidarity from the Brown Beret organization. We, the Brown Berets, stand in unwavering solidarity with our Native, Black, white comrades, and all other marginalized communities and Intercommunal Council. We stand with the American Indian Movement, the Black Panthers, and other comrades and relatives. We strive for liberation and sovereignty, and our fight is interconnected. We stand with all people who are struggling, victims of this corrupt system of oppression and increasing colonial violence. Our stance is uncompromising. Voting is pointless against special interests and gruesome imperialistic regimes. So we as Brown Berets commit to the lifelong work of decolonizing ourselves through discipline, daily study, and revolutionary education, for the sake of our communities and future generations. We are the protectors of our circles because let's face it, nobody is coming to save us. So we teach ourselves self-defense courses and we teach the community and our members for free. Solo el pueblo salva al pueblo. That means only the people can save the people. Unfortunately, not all brown berets believe in the original concepts. Yet, the work that we do is not symbolic at all. In the Brown Beret organization, we do practice what we preach. We accept only those who demonstrate integrity, consistency, and commitment to the movement. And we hope to prove that to you. So we stand in solidarity with the Intercommunal Council, made to serve the people by the people. May our actions contribute to impactful change for generations to come, and we look forward to working hard together. Remember, liberation is non-negotiable. All power to the people, porque la lucha sigue. Viva la causa.
All power.
We'd like to call next in line, and I believe that's Mohams. Floor is open.
We're all losing to the mute button tonight. The mute button is a fascist. Oh,
it was stuck, man. I couldn't get it. All right, I'm ready to rock. Thank you, guys. So I, Mo Hamza, representing the Free Palestine movement, reject the destructive duopoly system that has ironically created a monopoly of tyranny, oppression, and destabilization both domestically and abroad by a demonic capitalistic warmongering select group of elitist billionaires and leaders whom are all compromised and occupied by a terrorist foreign entity with cancerous tentacles that manipulate every aspect of our society, inclusive of taking our hard-earned money right out of our pockets to further advance their fascist agendas, while our very own citizens are further driven into a constant state of economic struggle and turmoil. Turmoil that now includes the unchecked murder of our own American citizens using the exact tactics and surveillance of the terrorist foreign entity that occupies us. We, the Free Palestine movement, stand firmly with the Brown Berets, the American Indian movement, the Rednecks and Patriots of America, the Black Panther Party, and the Panther Party, in solidarity for our one common purpose, which is to tear down the empire that holds us down and establish our own new world order that represents the collective people of our nation. Our movements individually have deep roots, but collectively, our roots are intertwined. Power to the people. Thank you all for hearing me out and allowing me to be a part of this historic initiative with a historic group of game changers and revolutionaries. Power to the people.
Power to the people. We'd like to call the next in line.
All power to the people, y'all. Good evening, comrades. Imperialism has good reason to be scared today. I know that we all come to the table with different experiences, with different perspectives and challenges, but I also know that we come to the table with one united purpose: the liberation of the people and the planet from the scourge of imperialism, colonialism, capitalism, and fascism. And I know that when we are united in this purpose, we will be successful. To the Brown Berets, the history of collaboration between our movements goes all the way back. Now we will move that history forward into the future. We will stand ready to fight alongside you, and together we will be victorious. To the AIM movement, we stand with you in your fight for sovereignty. We condemn the United States government and ruling class for their duplicity and colonial violence towards your people. We know that decolonization is not a metaphor. It's not something that happens in the minds of liberal academics, and that this land can only be free when its indigenous people are free and empowered. To the Palestine movement, we stand with you. We condemn the false state of Israel, and we demand a free Palestine from the river to the sea. We recognize that the empire maintains its genocidal occupation of Palestine in order to project power in West Asia, and that the victory of the people of Palestine, which will come, will be a victory for all people and a powerful blow to imperialism everywhere. To the Rednecks, well, I'm here today as a Panther. I consider myself a redneck as well, and I think it's about damn time we put red back in redneck. We know damn well that the real history of rednecks in this country is one of class struggle and solidarity, no matter what the petty bourgeois, phony country reactionaries or the elitist liberals in their ivory towers may believe. To the patriots, the promises on which this country were founded, the populism of Thomas Paine, the idea that all people are created equal, that governments that do not stand for the people must be abolished and replaced with ones that do, that all are entitled to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and that under no context should the right of the people to bear arms be infringed. I do not believe the Founding Fathers meant these words. I believe they were used opportunistically to convince the people at large to fight for the financial interests of a small, wealthy elite who cared absolutely nothing about freedom or equality for the masses. But I do believe in the truth of these words. I believe they are correct, even if I don't believe that the men who said them really meant them. And if those principles themselves are the ones that you fight for, and you do so in earnest, then the Panthers will fight with you. Finally, to the Black Panthers, I'm not, as a goofy country white boy, I'm not a Panther because of any connection to the Panther name, because I'm drawn to the legacy or because of any nostalgia or loyalty to the name. I'm a Panther because I'm a revolutionary, and because my study of revolutionary science led me to the inevitable conclusion that the Black Panthers cracked the code for how a successful revolution may be brought about under our present conditions. We stand with the Black Panthers because your theory and your practice of revolutionary intercommunalism are correct. We stand in solidarity with the Black community and with all oppressed and exploited communities, but we recognize that that solidarity means nothing unless it can deliver victory for the people. And of all the organizations that struggle for the people and all the different theories and strategies that have been devised for that struggle, it is the Black Panthers that have the strategy that can achieve that victory that is required. Our party was created at the direction of Huey P. Newton, and we have not wavered in our purpose. We exist to support your struggle. To all of our esteemed fellow organizations on this council, to all the people listening and to all the people represented, let me repeat the immortal words of Ernesto Che Guevara. If you tremble with indignation at every injustice, you are a comrade of mine. All power to the people.
All power to the people. We'd like to call next in line. Floor is open.
All of the people you see in front of you on the screen, they represent demographics that have formulated who I became as a man. My godmother, who helped raise me, co-parented me. First face I saw, she was Black African from Zimbabwe. So I grew up. So they helped raise me. They helped teach me discipline, and the Black community has always stood as an authority figure since I was little. Prayed over me. As a white man growing up in the military system through my parents, having redneck roots from the farms up in Iowa, coming from cowboys in Dakota, the Amish in Pennsylvania, having those roots, and having the colonial heritage of my ancestor being Robert Dinwiddie, who is unofficially titled the grandfather of the United States, who promoted George Washington to general and thus beginning the bloody legacy that became the American Empire. Therefore, blood is on my DNA. Blood is in my family name. They perfected the art of divide and conquer in this empire's early days. However, as we've seen through revolution, things can come full circle. People who are descendants of foes can become allies and comrades and fellow soldiers. When I went to Palestine at the age of 18 as a Zionist and as a brainwashed evangelical Christian, it was Palestine that took me in and became my brother and my mother, teaching me not to be a dumbass, teaching me not to follow after propaganda. It was a deprogramming, and they were patient with me, and they accepted me for my faults, whooped my ass when I needed my ass whooped, and turned me into a person who woke up to what that land really is. It is Palestine, and it belongs to them. So that began my journey towards true liberation of the mind and fighting for indigenous rights and recognizing the importance of the indigenous sovereignty. And when I moved to California, it was La Raza that was welcoming me when I didn't have that many friends when I moved to Southern California. It was La Raza that were my first comrades, the first people who helped me get a job, helped me fit in to California, and all that coming from the East Coast. And of course, my late spiritual leader was from the Dakota tribe, who I buried almost 2 years ago on the Crow Creek Reservation in South Dakota. He was my spiritual leader. He educated me, and he was like a father to me, a spiritual father in many ways. So all of these demographics represent people who formed who I became. And then, of course, last but not least, the Black Panther Party. When I met them, I realized that I truly found a political home. I was not satisfied with the half measures of other parties. I was not satisfied with the liberalism of other parties. I did not have a home. But the Black Panther Party, when I shook Bunchy's hand over a year ago, I realized that he was my leader, and I was going to, and I'm an anarchist. So to see somebody in an organization as my leader was a huge compromise for me, my personal values as a principled anarchist. But I realized that if there's anybody who's worthy enough to be a leader, it's the Black Panther Party, and therefore them introducing me to the Panther Party, formerly known as the White Panther Party, gave me that space where I can work as comrades with them, strategize with them, be a tactician among them. It gave me that home. And bringing us all together here at this council, it's a dream come true. In my opinion, it should be a dream come true for the world, because we are establishing the foundation of what can be the true democracy of the people as we go forward in this revolution. So that being said, all power to the people, free Palestine.
Power to the people, free Palestine. We call over now X to the Black Panther Party. Floor is open.
What do I say here? Sorry, y'all.
Your thoughts.
If you want, I can do it. I got you. Don't worry about it.
Is it the same thing like we did last night?
I have no idea what you did last night. I wasn't here.
Well, I guess for this part, I would defer to the recording from last evening, as I don't have those words readily available. But in the interim, we stand on the unbroken political line of the Black Panther Party, a line that never taught us to fight alone. It never taught us to fight narrow. It never taught us to mistake our enemy. We know who our enemy is. We speak today on these stolen stateless lands, land taken through violence, broken treaties, and ongoing occupation. We name that because the Black Panthers teach us that liberation begins with truth. There is no justice without acknowledging whose land we stand on. Black liberation is inseparable from liberation of all oppressed people. Through a revolutionary intercommunalism, we are taught that our communities, Black, Indigenous, Brown, poor, and colonized, are bound together under a single global system of exploitation. The same empire that cages Black communities, steals Indigenous land, exploits brown labor, grinds poor white workers into dust, and is the same empire that drops bombs on its children across the world, especially in Palestine. We damnate Israel for these actions, but recognize that the American government is the ones responsible for the funding. Oppression has many uniforms, but it answers to the same power. Fred Hampton makes it plain. We don't fight racism with racism. We fight racism with solidarity. That is why the Black Panthers stand shoulder to shoulder with Brown Berets, the American Indian movement, with the poor white working class rednecks, with the revolutionaries across the globe, from here to Palestine, not because our struggles were identical, but because they are connected, they are structured by the same enemy, and we will be liberated through collective resistance. Today, that connection is undeniable. In Palestine, we condemn without hesitation nor apology the genocidal violence carried out by the Israeli state against the Palestinian people. This is not a conflict, it is a colonial occupation. This is not self-defense, it is ethnic cleansing. Revolutionary intercommunalism demands that we side with the oppressed, not the oppressor. And the history will not forgive the silence dressed up as neutrality. From the reservations to the barrios, from the ghettos to Gaza, our message remains the same. The people have the right to live, to resist, and to determine their own destiny. Liberation is not piecemeal. Justice is not selective, and solidarity is not conditional. We are not confused about who our enemies are, and we are clear about who our people are. All power to the people. From the Salish Seas to Palestine, resistance is justified.
Wablapu, Blapadicha, Dakota Case Teetsta, to all Chud Spialabobs, to all Chud Quiltupshida, to all Chud McLeod Ayaya. To all my honorable relatives, friends and family, my name is Dakota Case. I come from the Puyallup people. I come from the Water Warriors, and I come from the McLeod family. I'm the first great grandson of Janet McLeod. I'm the first grandson of Laura McLeod. I'm the first son of Tisha Firefender. I give you my maternal breakdown of my three grandmothers, my grandmothers and mother before me, to state my title to the land that I stand on today. You know, I think the word freedom is well overused today. Everything that we see happening on the televisions, everything that we see happening on our phones today is a byproduct of colonialism and all the isms that follow it afterwards: sexism, racism. You could go down the line of all the isms that impact us on a daily basis. And you know, one of the things we've worked on as coming into a warrior society is ceremony. One of the main things we focus on is praying for the warrior spirit to wake up in all of us, that fire in our chest that they try to extinguish through assimilation and other torture methods of colonialism. You know, we've gotten to see the impacts of colonialism firsthand, and then have to witness it on the television set, whether it's happening to our Black brothers and sisters during Black Lives Matter or the Free Palestine movement more recently, and standing in solidarity and understanding what it means to be a comrade in the movement is where we need to be as warriors. And when I say the word warrior, I don't mean the exact American term that they've termed it on, as somebody that is warmongering 24/7. Because we live our life by a sitting bull standard of what a warrior means, and that's provide protection, prosperity, and protection, prosperity, and providing for the people, all the P's that you put on it. And living as a warrior in today's society standards, and living with that fire in your chest, and knowing that that fire won't be extinguished on the simple fact that, let me break down statistics for you. 95% of indigenous population today are descendants of the ones that ran to the fort, and there's 5% that didn't run to the forts, and we're part of that 5%. Every person sitting in here that was forced to sign a treaty with the United States, white people included. You look at colonialism, have impacted white people for longer than it's impacted us. The identity, the cultural identity crisis that all of us face today, on the simple fact that they took the books, they burned the books, and they burned the culture, and left behind embers. But that's where we rise from, is the embers, and to stand in solidarity and in an all-inclusive movement is exactly where we need to be, as foretold by Crazy Horse. Crazy Horse foretold the children of the sun coming together and banding together. So I believe that's where we're at in this exact moment, is living in Crazy Horse's prophecy right now, where we all come together and see that we need to lean on each other as much as possible. The Water Warriors is an environmental group at its core. We're an environmental group. We stand for the water. It's in our name. I'm a fourth generation member of the American Indian movement, but we founded our own movement back in 2017. And that was called the Water Warriors, to stand against PSC's liquefied natural gas facility. And 2019 came around, and we cost PSC $60 million in this fight. By 2019, from 2017 to 2019, we cost them $60 million, and continued going at them. But we kept watching our Black brothers and sisters being killed on social media and so on and so forth. And the Black Lives Matter movement really kicked off. And that's where we took a back seat. We put our movement in the back seat to stand in solidarity as comrades, to truly support our Black brothers and sisters, and showing up and being of assistance in any way we can. And I believe that's the true path, is just showing up and showing people what it means to be of assistance when you show up from an outside community, and exactly what we're doing right here in this intercommunal council. So you know, I know it's bad to say this, but I'm grateful for the Free Palestine movement for opening up my eyes to a lot of the bullshit that was happening, and to see that isn't real was really behind so much in our lives. And I feel like I've been lied to for the last 75 years. You know, I look at everything, at the movies, I look at everything in a whole different light now after the Free Palestine movement. I look at the movie industry way different. You know, as a co-Salish person, I had to really go investigate who I was, and why I was like this, and why there was so much fire in my blood, why I've been to prison so many times, why my brother's been to prison so many times. And it's because we've never truly been free. that we live with the fire in our chest that burns, and the warriors that we're descendants of truly find this whole situation of society that we're in today completely offensive. And that's why we feel like this. Is why there's an anger inside of us. That's why our blood boils the way it does, because we know something completely different. We know to stand up and fight for our land. So until the people are truly free, we will stand with you. We will stand with every single one of you, as we have done since the beginning of the movements. We used to fight for equality and equal rights, and now we're fighting for our true freedom. This is where we're standing, is fighting for true freedom. We've never been truly free. We've asked for equal rights when we should have been fighting for true freedom, not to be equals to anybody, but true freedom of self-governance and what it means to determine your own future, instead of having a stock number on your head and being decided what you're going to do, and all you are is a statistic in the system. I'm tired of being a statistic in the system. And that's all of us are, is they keep statistics on us so they can keep money and keep tabs on us, and we become, all we are is an asset to the United States on another debt that they put out there on us. So until the people are truly free, we're here with you and we stand in solidarity. All power to the people.
The division tactics that have been waged against us as of recent, the things we're seeing, I would say we address in a general way, I guess, the ops that have been waged to divide us. We can start with what is happening, what we heard is happening in Virginia. There is a very, in my opinion, just to speak freely, with your permission, Firekeeper.
Permission to speak freely.
I'm noticing I don't know how to put it, like a flood of ops being waged against us at this time of desperation. Everybody's emotionally vulnerable, as we know. The Gestapo is in full force, trying to, kick the hornet's nest in Minneapolis, as we've seen. But in the periphery, we're also being attacked psychologically by certain oppositions that are obviously being egged on to create division amongst us, set confusion about who stands with who. And I would just like to address this and open the floor to people who have noticed these types of agendas. We got fugazis out there, but we also have fugazis who are trying to unite people under a false umbrella, no doubt to be controlled by the state and by the empire. But also we have division tactics all happening at once, just to sow confusion amongst us. And I figure we can kind of express ourselves freely about that. And I'll refer it to Boss Bunchy. Boss Bunchy.
Yeah, man, you gotta stop calling me that. That's crazy. You make me feel very make me feel like I got a capitalist stank on me or something. Don't do that. Nah, but in all seriousness, there's a my father used to tell me when I was young. He was like, "Hey man, look," he said, "Let me ask you a question." He said, "If you ever saw something that you wanted to punch a hole in, right, where would you hit it?" I said, "I'd probably hit it where it's the weakest. Where is it the weakest? It's the weakest where it's not solid. That's where it's the weakest." And right now, what's happening is the imperialists are doing a wonderful job of creating a lot of not solid places within the armor of the people. Because organizations like ours are the armor of the people. That's why we do what we do, to protect their right to exist in the way that they see fit. That's why we do it. But it's impossible to do that with any true effectiveness when we're not able to find common ground, like simple common ground. And the differences between us are going to be exaggerated. They're going to be exaggerated because that is the quickest way to root that division within people. You'll do it yourself if they can make you believe in the differences enough. They won't even have to do it. There won't be a need for COINTELPRO all the way live. We don't have to do that. All we got to do is remind them that they're not like them. All we got to do is remind them that their berets are brown and theirs are black. All we got to do is remind them that he's fighting for Palestine, but it's way over there. They're fighting about something right here. All we got to do is be like, well, hell, we give the natives hella money, casinos, all of that. Y'all don't get none of that, right? And as long as they can continue to tell us this and we continue to buy it, I'm going to look at Dakota and be like, I mean, he cool, but I'll look at Mark and Doc and say, I mean, they cool, but I'll look at Mohams and I'll look at SC and I'll be like, I mean, they cool, but. And as long as that butt hangs in the air, pause, as long as the butt hangs in the air, there are going to be questions. And as long as the questions exist, there can't be true solidarity. And where there's no true solidarity, they will find the weakness in the armor of the people and find a way to pierce that at every single turn. So when you make people I'll just be honest about something. When you have people, I'm not even on social media. And in the last 2 weeks, I've been sent the same link 100 times by different people. Hey, this y'all man? This your man? This what y'all doing? And you know what I said? Because I'm very aware of the division tactics being played. I don't know what you mean. I'll call him and talk to him. Because anything beyond that is really none of your business if you are non-combatant. We can't afford to jeopardize strategy behind idiots. Like, oh my God. I'm trying to find a way to say this without saying something I don't need to say. Okay, I'll put it this way. There are many things that are moving between the Intercommunal People's Corps, between the paper, between all the, there are plenty of things that are moving. You know when the movement gets halted? Whenever one of those videos appear. Hey, did you see this? Now for the next 45 minutes, everybody and their mom is talking about this video. And if you think it's only 45 minutes that they're talking about it, that's only the 45 minutes that you see. You don't get to see the other 2 hours that they're wasting on it talking to their friend who don't know you from Adam, who wouldn't know a Black Panther if they walked up and slapped them in the face, who wouldn't, like, what are we doing really? Why are we giving energy to division? We're feeding the machine exactly what it wants. So now when I go to the East Coast, I got to watch my back for people that call themselves the same thing I call myself. Why? That should never be the case. Eldridge Cleaver dead. Eldridge Cleaver's dead. You understand me? We can't allow what happened then to impact what we're building now. We saw what happened with Wild Bill O'Neill. It won't be another one of them. Not on our watch, it won't. But that can only happen if we implore all of the other people who call themselves revolutionaries to invest in solidarity over division. That's the only way we can do it. That's the only way. I don't care if you call yourself a Black Panther. I don't care if you call yourself a Black Beagle. I don't care what it is. I don't care. To me, the animal means nothing. This and this mean more than everything. So the easiest way to deal with it, in my personal opinion, let the bullshit ride. Pardon my French. I do apologize for. I try my best not to do this when I'm in front of cameras talking to people, but you got to let that ride because all of it's going to play itself out. If you're paying close enough attention, the last 2 weeks you sent all these messages and asked all these questions, and now it's sorted itself out. And I kept telling people, shh, don't worry about it. It'll take care of itself. Trust me. And it did. What we're building means more than what they're trying to destroy. And as long as we know that, we can't lose.
There was, and it's not just on the, let's put it this way, the Panther side of things, released the use of the Panther name. There is another thing that was brought up by a member of the People's Corps. And I'm going to bring him up to give a report of what he witnessed when he walked in. Our ambassador on the ground, who was trying to form his own council in the East Coast, Appalachia. Are you ready to speak on what you saw today that you witnessed or recently regarding the John Brown Gun Club?
Bitter taste in your mouth, but yeah. So in my capacity as a local organizer in my state, I went to visit with this group of people that was calling themselves the John Brown Gun Club, and to be fair, Virginia, I'm in Virginia, and it's a very difficult situation here. We are really far behind. We are in the belly of the beast, and we are really far behind. And this will demonstrate that how far behind we are. So I wanted to simply gauge interest in, because the federal authorities just came into Richmond. So I wanted to go down there and put my feet in the sand and see what it was like on site. So I set up a couple meetings. One of the meetings was with a group of people calling themselves the John Brown Gun Club. Now, having been born in the South and kind of lived my childhood in the North, I'm not too familiar with that whole story, but I know the outline of it. Okay. Well, I hung around until after the meeting because I wasn't interested in joining, and I spoke to the guy, and the first thing he said to me was, "We're not going to play the white savior." And my head cocked. Burr? And he said, "Yeah, we've already decided." And he went like that. "We've already decided. We're not going into any brown communities. We're not going to anywhere there's brown." That's what he said. "We're not going to anywhere that there's brown people and putting our lives at risk." And I almost vomited in my mouth. You know, I was like, "Well, you know, you have my contact information," and I left. And I hadn't even put two and two together yet about their name, what they were calling themselves. When I got to my car, because what he was saying was just so disgusting. When I got to my car, I was like, "Wait a minute, these guys are actually calling themselves the John Brown Gun Club. Like, that is actually insane." So I, yeah, that was, and I also, and I'll tell you another example too. So I am a veteran. I was participating in the veterans tent at Union Station, and there's some of the veterans that are there too. I tried to organize in the same way that when I came to the People's Corps to organize with them, and I didn't receive as good a reception. And that's not really the point. The point is that there's certain people inside of that movement. There's there influencers and everything else like that have in the presence of my ears expressed the same sentiment the other direction. Black people saying that they're not going to help anybody but themselves. And this is swirling around me inside of the belly of the beast. So we're really far behind here. And if these people in this state don't start to fight for themselves, then I plan to, I estimate that my best decision is to leave. And we're there. So
Yeah,
I'm appreciative of,
go ahead. Sorry.
No,
go
I'm
ahead.
I'm appreciative for the opportunity to be heard and to bring these things to the attention of a wider audience myself.
Number 9, he joined the People's Corps a little while back, and he's been helping us organize. So this is our first time today was the first time I've actually had the chance to have an actual voice conversation with him. And he told me what he's experiencing on the ground and trying to get going and mobilizing. As you know, the People's Corps, we've been organizing administratively, but with the intention of organizing on the ground. So he has been that voice within the People's Corps. Hey, we need to start organizing the ground. In which case, I told him that we are trying to formulate small local councils, just like this one, with this one simply being a model for a local council. So he desires to put together a local council.
I'm kind of blown away, starstruck. I'm deeply humbled and honored to be able to have that responsibility. And I will exhaust myself in the execution of putting the council together here.
Thank you, comrade. Thank you for sharing. your story. As we can see, the empire has no limits on who it affects and who it victimizes, and we're seeing the pain that it causes in all of us, all the way from here in California to the East Coast, Virginia. Thank you, comrade. I'm going to bring you back up towards the end, if you don't mind, and we can have some directives for you.
Outstanding. Thank you again.
All right. Absolutely.
Listen, man. some names out here just make me kind of that one he said kind of, yeah. To be honest with you, I ain't surprised by that. I'm not surprised by it at all. That's the response to that. That is a clear manifestation of the division that we were talking about. When you have people who stand directly in the scope of fascism and can still find a way to fight, that's crazy. That's crazy. John Brown, don't get me started. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna tell the council this just shows what we're facing right now. It shows that these institutions are being compromised, or these organizations that once had repertoire of being revolutionary or using co-opting names are counter-revolutionary, and it shows a very concerted effort from the top. Whoever is behind the curtain, they're trying to launch these ops, and so that's why I appreciate everybody being on this council, so we can squash these tactics in the bud, starting with us. The buck stops with us. We're setting the groundwork for eliminating all rumors, because it's rumors. It's the rumors that divide people. When there's no confirmation, it's all a stage, and we're here to like rip the stage down and show them the real what the revolution is really made of. Sorry, I didn't want to take up a lot of time. If anybody else want to comment on these divisions, give room to our comrades in the Brown Berets, the Palestine movement, American Indian movement.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just going to say something like briefly about the divisions. I think the one thing to take a silver lining with the divisions that we see in each of our movements, because every movement's going to have those divisive people in individually in our movements, and then obviously there's the collective divisionists that try to break all of us down. But they come out swinging when they're at their most desperate. And that's what I like. That's when we're winning in a sense. And the fact that we're even on this call together, collectively representing all our movements and trying to form a collective movement together because we have identified a common ground and common enemy together, while these divisive psychos that are trying to break us down are coming out as strong as ever, mainly because they are so blatantly desperate to try to like shut people like us down and our movements down, because we are so strong. Our momentum is so strong right now that they're exposing themselves now, and to the point of like people are shunning them into this. And the people we see, like for example, the most blatant display is ICE right now. Clearly, the way they're operating right now is pure desperation. They're just going all in on fascism right now, which is accelerating the demise of the empire, helping our cause as a people in terms of the way we want to mobilize and move together. So I always try to find that silver lining in the negative of the divisiveness of everything, because the more they come out, the better we are in what we're doing, because it is a form of desperation on their part.
Yeah. Capitalism started dying and shots started flying.
Simply said, we have a little phrase in the Berets. It's not really a phrase, but we just we say shiny penny, because a shiny penny on the floor will distract you, right? So anytime anybody's like drifting away from the conversation or anything like that, we're like, oh, shiny penny. So we call each other out. And what's been happening right now is just the same. Keep your eye on the prize. Obviously, I think a few of us here have a couple years under our belts already, and we're kind of accustomed to a lot of odd situations happening. So it's been quite quite the experience the last just 2 weeks, has been nuts, you know, and that was really a curveball that they threw at us as well, even as berets, because now everybody and their grandma wants to be a brown beret. Now everybody wants to start their unit. Now everybody, you know, and everybody's hitting us up. What are you guys doing? Well, why aren't you guys in Minneapolis? Well, why aren't you guys, you know? So we definitely are like shiny penny. Nope, don't even give us the time of day. You know, people want to join, but they're asking like, are we going to do the same thing as, you know, they're doing up there? Nope, because you know that's it's just not what we're here for. At least not right now. So yeah, I feel like it's just gonna get stronger and stronger, these attacks from the opposition, you know, and it could get risky, you know. I'm not gonna lie, I'm no stranger to that. I don't know if anybody heard, but I was a part of a case 2 years ago called the Justice 8, and that was because a street vendor activists were targeted, and I was a part of that situation, where one charge turned into 16 felonies, and you know, it happened. So they're really out there, you know, they're watching, and I think the most important part, like I said, is just keeping ourselves goal oriented and, you know, holding each other accountable to our work. You know, if we say we're going to do something, that's how we brown berets operate. We operate by palabra. If you say you're going to do something, you got to do it, man. Or at least be honest and say, hey, this is out of my capacity right now, can you help me? Or, you know, but just always being honest with each other. And I think that's one way to keep like I said, each other accountable, and also just being transparent. You know, that's how you catch people lying or not really being real about their true motives, you know, is if they don't want to have these conversations, you know, if there's issues or et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, there's a lot of things to watch out, but overall I'm looking forward to being here, you know, and working with everybody and just getting to know everybody as well, and building camaraderie, because we really, really do need it across the board, not just within our own cultural spaces, but just everywhere. You know, we need to be each other's safe spaces when we go out, regardless. Like if I go to, you know, Chicago, or if I go to Texas, like we should all be able to roam freely without racism, you know, like creeping behind our backs like that. That's crazy. So yeah, I'm really excited to work with y'all. Thank you.
One last tactic I'd like to talk about. This is more recent and personal for me. Is on the national scene. I talked to some of the national organizers across that work in different cities and everywhere else. And one of the tactics that they're using of dividing out voices in the movement is using the police to trump up as many charges as they can on people. So I'd really like for everyone to keep their eyes peeled for that. Like I said earlier, you know what I mean? I've been in and out of the prison system since I was 12 years old or so. And, you know, I changed my life to put on for the next generation, for the youth and my own kids and so on and so forth. And I changed my life about 15 years ago and ended up sitting right here in groups with people working towards the betterment of the people, such as I am right now. But I got pulled over the other night, or not the other night, about 4 months ago. I got pulled over. And you know what I mean? I come to think about this whole situation, but you know, I wish I would have did so many different things than what I did. But we opened up for the No Kings Day and on Puyallup territory at a park on 56, and you know, I kind of knew that I was drawing the line in the dirt for the Water Warriors, and I opened it up on that event, and Open Aisle Egg spoke at that event as well. But that same weekend, I was coming up Portland Ave, and you know, I drive a Scat Pack. I drive factory race cars for a reason, because I know the line of work that we're in is it comes with a lot of different people that don't like you for the simple fact, you know what I mean? Like every different movement that we've been in, we've had threats from each one. So I drive factory race cars, and I had this Trump supporter, you know, typical Trump supporter, fat white dude in a Silverado. He pulled up behind me. I wish I'd have pulled over and just whooped this dude's ass, or so many different things than what I did. I'm like, I'm gonna show you why I got 500 horses under the hood, and I dipped out on him, and I'm flying up the Ave, and I flew by a cop doing about 100 or so, and I finally got in a position where I changed my life. I got my gun rights back. I got a concealed weapons permit. I got driver's license. I got everything. And I pulled over, and that was the biggest mistake of my life, was to pull over that night. And I pulled over, and as soon as they walked up to the car, both of these cops were, you know what I mean, your typical don't like anybody. They had the crew cut, you know what I mean, baby blue eyes, everything, you know what I mean. And we was part of I-940, and that's the initiative to de-escalate Washington and from police brutality. And we was thinking that because we had tribal members killed by police brutality in Tacoma. And so I've been wary of run-ins with Tacoma Police Department because they treated us as the same tactics that I used to see in the streets. You know what I mean? Drive-by mean mugs, everything. You know what I mean? They did the same thing to us at every event on 940. So I've been very leery of the Tacoma Police Department. But they pulled me over, and the first thing the cop comes up and says is, "Your car smells like weed." And there's sage sitting in my center console. There's sage on the dash. There's eagle feathers. And I was just like, "There's a smudge bowl sitting next to me. That's why it smells like weed, but whatever." He's like, "Nah, when's the last time you smoked?" And I should have just kept my mouth closed. Like, I rethink about this whole situation. I was like, "Oh, I smoked earlier that day." And after that, the investigation started. They asked me if there's firearms in the car, and I'm like, "Yeah, I got, you know what I mean? Everything's here. Everything's right here. I got a 45 right there, 45 right here, an AR-15 in the trunk." He goes and opens it up, and he was like, "Can I take your 45? I was like, "Yeah, yo." He grabs it and he pops the clip out. He's like, "Damn, what kind of ammunition is that?" And I was just like, "Why are you worried about that?" And he was just like, he closes it up, and he's like, "Where's the other ones?" I was just like, "Whatever." We get out the car. They put me in the back of the cop car, and it's the beginning of fall time or so it's pretty cold outside. I got thermals on. They put me in the back of the car, and they left me there for like 30 minutes, between 30 and 40 minutes or so, left me in the back of the car with the heater all the way blasted. And, I sat down, and I was like, I knew how close I was to losing my life. You know what I mean? Like, I kept my hands up the whole time, and like, you know what I mean? Like, they had to finally tell me to put my hands down. They come over the car and they go, "Are you going to investigate? Are you going to participate in our investigation now?" Because I completely shut down. I said, "I'm not participating in investigation no more. I'm done." I was just like, "I already know I'm under investigation. I'm sitting in the back of your cop cars, whatever." They was like, "Are you going to make us get a warrant?" And they was like, "What else is in the car?" I said, "There's nothing else in the car." They said, "Give us permission to search the car." Then I was like, "I'm not doing that. Get your warrant, get your all that." They was like, "Oh, we can have your kid's mother, since the car's in your name and her name. I can have her come pick up the car." I was like, "You got me smoked. You can take the fucking car. Keep the car. Keep the car. You're not going to have my kid's mother and my kids out here in the middle of the night, especially when I don't trust you guys already. So whatever, take the car." So they took the car. They had another police officer come. They kept me in the cop car at the police station for another 30 minutes. So it's about 3 a.m. I got pulled over about 11 p.m. or so. Keep me outside until about 3 a.m. Finally, the other cop pulls up, and they're drawing blood themselves. And you know what I mean? They yank the blood out. This dude comes up in there. He's like, "Oh, do you want the big needle or the little needle?" I was like, whatever turns you on. Like, whatever turns you on. Like, I'd never heard of a cop pulling blood or anything. So they pulled the blood. Or they didn't pull the blood. They put it in me twice, and they jabbed me and completely fucked up my arms. And take me to the hospital, and finally had my blood drawn at the hospital because I was under arrest for DUI at this point. They were saying that I was high on marijuana and everything, and that this. But what it did, and this is why I use it as a divide and conquer tactic, what they did is they almost effectively took me away from the movement. They almost effectively took it because my PTSD was so messed up. I was sitting back and I was thinking for 3 months straight, and I didn't show up to anything. I sat back and thought about this. And what really brought me out of my PTSD was my daughter. She was hiding under the bed one day, and I walked in the room and asked my daughter, I said, "Hey, why are you hiding under the bed? What's going on? Is something happening to you? Something going on? You got something to tell me?" She goes, "Yeah, Dad, there is." And I was like, "What?" She was like, "I'm scared." I was like, "What are you scared of?" And she said, "The police." And she used to love the police before that because her only interactions were with tribal police, and tribal police ain't the same as the murder police of the United States. Tribal police are all tribal members that work for the people. And like literally, I've seen one of them cry when they had to kill somebody. They recently just killed their first person, and it was absolutely necessary because the dude was going to run him over. And he cried to me when I asked him about it. He's like, "Bro, I didn't want to, man. Last thing I ever want to do is use my firearm in service." And so I told my daughter, she was like, "I'm scared of the cops now, Dad." And I was just like, it kind of woke me up. And I was just like, this work is absolutely necessary. These are tactics of the divide divide and conquer, and for us to assimilate, for us to forget who we are, to forget the savages that they called us, the dirty animals, everything that they've ever said to us. As soon as we're assimilated, guess what? We forget about all that. So these are all tactics of divide and conquer. You know, and when I spoke to the national organizers, I have a lot of connections on the national scene with the groups such as the environmental network, Indigenous Environmental Network. They reached out and asked if I had anything, if I needed anything, and I was like, no, not really. But they told me that it's happening on the national scene in LA, Michigan, Minneapolis, anywhere that there's something going on, that these cops that go and snatch people, they'll go and snatch people up with voices in the community, and they'll chump up as many charges as they can. They kept me in jail for a total of 16 hours. I was bailed out as soon as I touched down, as soon as bail was posted, I was bailed out. And as soon as the bail bondsmen come to let me out, they chumped up another bunch of charges. They put reckless driving, concealed weapons permit violations ×3, a couple other charges as soon as I got bailed out. So I had to get bailed out again. So I was in there for a total of like way past longer than I should even have been in there. And it was just all mind games. So beware of these mind games that these police are playing, these charges that they're chumping up on people and everything, and stand strong and just know that, you know what I mean, regardless of whether you're sitting inside that cell or you're sitting out here with us, that you're still a prisoner of the United States. It doesn't change. The game of divide and conquer has been going on longer than any of us have been here. All of our lineages know it, whites included. This is their tactics. This is their game, and we're sitting on their board until we flip their board over and show them that we're stronger in numbers than they could ever be. That's the only way that we'll truly stand up to the system of oppression.
And the mind games is like one of those common threads that go through every single one of our movements, man. It's I mean, as I'm speaking from the Palestinian side of things, like mind games is exactly what they do to torment my people at all times. Like, this is why children get arrested without any due process or charge. One of the only places on earth that arrest children in that capacity, and adults get arrested without charge, being held there indefinitely, tortured, without anybody knowing what's going on, no access to their lawyers. And it's consistent, systematic mind games and mind torture and emotional torture, so that you break the person down so much that they don't have the will to fight back. That is what they try to do at all times. And then that's a testament to like what you are, Dakota, is even through all that bullshit they threw at you, here you are with us continuing to fight back. And those are the people that are the revolutionaries, in my opinion, and the ones that understand the struggle of what, not just personally that you went through or I went through or anybody went through, and with regard to like your direct, people around you. It's the history of your people, your ancestors went through in order to get you to where you are today. So I always constantly refer back to like my people, like every single thing I feel like I'm going through, any hardship in my life right now, it's a mini baby fraction as to what my people are going through in the motherland in Palestine right now. And I always channel that, because they are systematically being broken down so horrifically from a mental capacity to what you're saying, where their will to fight, you would think, would be just gone at this point. And but as we all know, the Palestinian people are some of the most resilient human beings on the face of this earth, which is where I channel a lot of everything I do in that capacity. So completely, I'm so like grateful for you telling us that story, because it's just a testament to who you are and why you do what you do, because you didn't let that defeat you in any way, shape, or form. It actually made you probably even stronger than ever, in my opinion. And I just met you just a couple of days ago, brother. So like, I think I'm just more and more as I hear you guys speak, I'm just like immensely proud to be a part of this. So,
mashallah.
There's that George Carlin line. I think a lot about it. You don't need a conspiracy where material interests align, or something like that. So when we talk about divisive tactics, I think about that line a lot, in two different ways. And the first way is, we know that there is, we know that there's the state, right? And we know that there is, the alphabet agencies, and we know that the ruling class To a certain extent, there are plans in place, right? And there are plans in place to crush our movements. There are groups, representative groups of the ruling class that are getting together and figuring out ways to take us down. But we also need to remember they're not all on the same page, right? And not all of the divisive tactics we see are going to come from some big conspiracy that the state has put together or that the ruling class has put together. Sometimes it is just members of the ruling class and elements within the bourgeoisie acting on their class interests, right? To divide us, right? And doing things individually that have a divisive tactic, right? Or have a divisive impact on us, right? And a lot of the time recently, with a lot of the things that I see that are dividing our movements, right? Sometimes it's a plan, but sometimes it just has to do with some rich dude trying to get paid or somebody trying to get paid and realizing that revolutionary organizing and revolutionary solidarity are going to fuck with their bag, right? So we need to be aware of that, both because that prevents us from, assuming that everything is part of some master scheme, which they're not that organized, right? And that's hopeful to think about, right? Is that it's not just that they are so organized, it's that they share the same interests and they know it, right? And the other point is that the reason that the people are disorganized is because we've been convinced that we don't share the same interests, right? And that's the key, right? We don't have to agree on everything, but we need to start by understanding that we have the same material interests, right? We have the same material interests in not having our labor exploited, in not having resources stolen, in not having our agency stripped away from us, not being turned into tools to generate wealth for the elite, right? And we have to align along those lines, because that's where we're going to find solidarity. That's where we're going to find truth. And very importantly, that's where we're going to be able to unite all our communities, because everybody on this call, I know that everybody on this call cares, right? Enough to the point that even if there was nothing in it for them, they'd still be standing. We'd still be standing together, right? But we need to realize that that's not always going to be the case. And we have to be able to reach the people who are so poisoned by the individualism that we are all inundated with, that they're only going to care about themselves, right? So we need to be able to explain to people, no matter where they are, no matter who they are, that this fight is another George Carlin line. It's a very small club and you're not in it, right? And since you're not in that club, this fight is your fight, right? And, if you don't think it is, and if you don't think that what's happening right now is your problem, that's just because they haven't got to your part of the, first they came for we just haven't gotten to your line yet. If you don't think it's your problem, it's because they haven't gotten to your part of that poem yet, period, right? It's not about everybody being on the same page, and that's true for the ruling class, and that's true for us. It's about understanding what a class is. A class is a group of people who have the same interests, the united material interests that they need to defend together, right? And we need to recognize that that's the boat that we're in, and work together along those lines, and really understand what your place in this world is, so that you can understand your interests. Because again, I'm not talking about what sports team you like, or it's, your interests are your interests no matter what you think they are, right? They're determined by your conditions, not by your attitudes. And people really need to understand that. And you need to understand that unless this happens now, it's going to have deeply negative impacts on the future of all people, right? And it already has. So, yeah.
Thank you, Doc. I was gonna say, tacking on to what the brother Dakota and brother Mohams said, and then we can wrap this up, because I know it's getting late, as our first session. We're working. This is our first session, so we're kind of like breaking into it, but it's a very powerful one. Dakota when I and this is, I'd like to address a lot of the white people who might be watching this, who are in somewhat of a shock that the system that they believed in all this time is conducting so much violence in their face viscerally. I would like to let y'all know that what y'all are seeing in Minneapolis is it's a Tuesday for the Black community. It's just another Tuesday based on the reality. What Dakota went through happens all the time. And I'd like to remind everybody, and unfortunately Esty had to step out because her battery died. But I would like to remind everybody that ICE was established under George W. Bush through the Patriot Act. It's been around. It was funded. It was started through George W. Bush, funded and doubled in budget by the Democratic Party. And then Donald Trump is simply catching the football and taking it to the end zone. This football was passed around by administrations. And the violence that we're seeing against the Palestinians, like I said, what we're seeing here on the streets of the United States through ICE has been going on. It's been directed at La Raza since ICE was founded during the Bush years. It's just been happening in silence. The violence towards Black people, it's everybody's lucky if it's caught on camera, but only now are phones this, common, so people can catch these things on the camera. But it's been going on for a long time. We're just now seeing it. And so when we are tempted to give in to these feelings of despair, like all is lost and the empire is so strong, what can we do in the face of these monsters? Does Gestapo understand that Palestinians, what we're experiencing on our streets is a fraction of a percent what Palestinians have been going through, what the Black community has been going through, what La Raza has been going through, what the indigenous communities have been going through. It's nothing. It's but a fraction. And if we give up and just throw in the towel, we're kind of spitting on the resilience of the Palestinian people. We're spitting on the resilience of the Black community. We're spitting on the resilience of the indigenous community of La Raza. It's now our time to get off the couch, actually. It's not the time to cower. We need to get off the couch. This is our wake-up call that it's been going on. And what we're seeing is everyday life for oppressed communities across the globe. Now we should use this opportunity to take inspiration from the resilience of the Palestinian people, take inspiration from the resilience of the Black community. What they did, what the Black Panthers did in the face of COINTELPRO in the 1960s. What did they do? The Black community didn't give up. They didn't say, oh, all is lost. They kept fighting until a lot of them were dead, in prison, in trauma, but they still kept fighting. And here, as you can see, Bunchy Carter resurrected the Black Panther Party in defiance of the empire trying to crush the name and memory of the Black Panther Party. So to my fellow white people out there who are steeped in despair, understand this is just the beginning. We're about to get off the couch, and this is your wake-up call. This is the reality that's been going on for decades. You're just now seeing it.
Yeah, that's very well said. I mean, we've come to a head where I personally, and Mark, you've probably seen like a ton of my videos that I've kind of just like been spouting it out to everyone, where from the get-go, I mean, I've always been saying it, but I think since the 2+ years of the carnage that we've been witnessing on screen, is if we do not stop it as a people here, considering it's coming predominantly from funding from our nation, from our tax dollars and all of that, right? So if they're able to do all of what they're doing with total impunity to our people like this, when they're very directly tied to the genocide of my people, with the utmost impunity that you'll ever see, that the main thing I was yelling from the rooftops is not necessarily strictly about my people. I was saying that if we don't stop this now, it will come to your doorstep. It will come to your house, to your families and your children. And we are literally seeing that as we speak right now. It's a told you so type moment, when in reality, that's probably not what people want to hear, but it is exactly that, because now we're seeing the anger and all this craziness happening that we never as a people, which basically showcased the dehumanization we've been going through, where like 20,000, 30,000, however many more children are buried under rubble. that we've been seeing get obliterated daily was not enough to have a fraction of what we're seeing now in terms of anger, because 3 Americans were killed, right? So just, I'm giving it to you from a perspective of a Palestinian. That's kind of like, it's almost, it's mind numbing to like see that, from a people where it seems like they don't give a shit about us because we are who we are and they're not, Americans, right? So I think in general, for us to spin the narrative in a way where it's the true narrative, that it's all connected together, where every single thing, all the impunity we let the US and Israel and all the other Western countries get away with to the Palestinian people in broad daylight, on camera, live streamed to the world, is now happening on our doorstep, where they are now doing things in broad daylight, killing American citizens on camera and lying about it, calling the people being killed terrorists, the way we have been called terrorists our entire lives, every single time we tried to fight back. So this is all so connected on a scary level that we need, which is why we are here together today, which is like we've thread that needle now. It's very easy for us to see us as a people here, like people that actually know our movements and know our struggles and know our oppression, right? So it's so blatantly connected that we just need the people now to see it the way we do. And this is actually the time to do it, because we can now capitalize. As much as I can throw my anger out at people being like, and say like, why the fuck didn't you say anything? And pardon my French, sorry. Didn't you say anything when, the Palestinians were getting ravaged every single day and still are till this day? Why didn't you say that? As much as it can easily, get angry at everyone and just call them out. This is the time for us to capitalize on their anger and do it tactfully in a way where we use this anger to pull the people together the way we are coming together right now, and really educate them in a very, very tactful way, and get them to the point where it's not a right versus left, a Republican versus Democrat issue in any way, shape, or form. It is literally a class war. That's the easiest way to at least pose in terms of like any civil type of war situation. It is a class war. It's top down in a way, right? So this is where I think we need to come to a head and say our government as it is, this duopoly system is complete bullshit. It is a means for them to just continue to oppress us in a fake ass democracy that is not a democracy in any way, shape, or form, right? It is a totalitarian dictatorship, authoritarian fascist dictatorship that we're seeing pretty much across every single Western country. And now it's just come to full force and they don't give a shit about it. So now, because we are the people that outnumber these elitists and billionaires and, capitalists, we now have the time. This is our moment really to flip this shit and, flip the table on them right now. So, and we need the people to really use that anger in a way that does topple the empire the way we want it to topple. So,
absolutely. If I could, real quick, I understand exactly where you're coming from, and I'll tell you why I understand that, because I see it very clearly. The same people who had children who were saying, "Well, why didn't Rodney King just do what the police told him to do?" Those same people, their kids are now saying, "Well, why did Tamir Rice have a toy gun at the park? Well, why was Manny Ellis walking home from the store, minding his business?"
Mm-hmm.
Those kids or those people are the ones asking those questions now,
mm-hmm.
because they was taught that it's okay, because that's authority, and authority has the right to do whatever it wants. That's what we're dealing with now. We're dealing with the babies of the people who thought Rodney King should have just done what the police told him to do, and he would have never got beat. We're dealing with the descendants of those people, and those people don't recognize war for what it is, because they see the people who are the most, the greatest catalyst for the violence. They view them as the authority, and they think it's okay because they have a badge, because they have a title, because they have some degree of quote unquote responsibility as civil servants or whatever you want to call them. Those people are the reason why that happens, because to them, what happened in Palestine don't matter because it's not happening here. To them, ICE is the authority, and all of these illegals, I can't stop doing air quotes because everything y'all saying is made up. It's all fiction. It's all fiction. The reality is the same ICE agent that just killed homeboy in Minnesota and that killed homegirl in Minnesota, that same person, they the same person. And that's also the same person who walked into Fred Hampton's house on December 4th, 1969 and shot him dead while he was sleeping. It's the same it's the same person, yo. It's the same person. And we just looking at a revolving door, these same individuals that continue to walk through and be granted the power and the responsibility to walk around armed. All I can say is, until we have come together for the express purpose of leveling a political consequence against the people who are keeping us oppressed, we will stay that way.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I got, man.
I'll make it real brief because I'm freezing. Also be aware of I don't know what word I should use for that, but the people that are using that divisionist language, this is not our fight, or to revisit that, this won't happen to us. It can happen to you. This is your fight. I got one. I don't see color. Stop. Full stop. See my color. Understand my plight. Understand the plight of my people. Understand the plight of everybody that has even a drop of melanin, because it is now landing on your doorstep. That's all I got.
Facts of it.
Yeah, man, I want to jump on that. Actually, that's totally true. The one thing that's like, I think put us in a position where we're even stronger now, actually, is the fact that we have fully exposed what they're doing to people of color, clearly. But we've always known this, but it's so blatantly open now. But it's now the America First white folk that actually are struggling economically at this very moment, that are also feeling this exact same plight now of the elitist class that is basically destroying their families to a point where they're not able to access healthcare. They're not able to go to good schools or go to schools at all. They're not able to, put food on the table. Sorry to bring it back to Palestine, but the reality is it's all connected. We're sending billions and billions and just up to trillions in a military complex in a way, but sending billions to a foreign entity that is literally murdering children in front of our eyes, right? So why are we not investing those dollars into those communities, inclusive of, it's not just people of color and the ethnic minorities, it's the white folk in the Midwest that have no money whatsoever and aren't able to, live a means where they feel like they can actually live, right? So that's the flip of the narrative that we can also use, not against them, but for our people in a way to be connected together and fight that common fight, where it's no longer just it's the ethnic minorities verse. It's not. It's all of us now that are completely being destroyed by these elitist, classist, disgusting human beings that are literally getting away with pedophilia, murder, all this disgusting shit in front of our eyes and hiding it and getting away with hiding it. So we need to flip that shit out. We need to cut that out, excise it. It's a cancer that needs to be excised at this point. And I think now we're at a point where it's not going to come from our Congress. They're not doing shit. The only time they're ever bipartisan is when they want to destroy us, right? There's nothing ever bipartisan until they want to bring us down. They've never ever agreed on anything unless it actually brings us down as a people or destroys and destabilizes a foreign country, right? So that's where I think we need to flip this whole system upside down, which I think is written all across the Four Winds charter. So I think that's I'm glad we're even talking about it right now. But we need the common people, the general public, to understand what our common purpose is. And I think this is the moment, to be quite honest. There's a level of anger, uncertainty, and lack of safety now. People are, when you start fucking with people's children and their families at this point, that's where you flip a car over if the car's on your child, right? This is the moment where you want to do everything in your power to make sure whoever's messing with your family goes down. So, and now there's a common, like, collective feeling of this across the nation, no matter what color you are, what background you are. This is, everybody's feeling it now, and to the point where white people are getting shot up in broad daylight and being lied to, and it's being lied to about in public. So,
Yeah, I would like to quote LBJ real quick in reference to what you're talking about white people realizing it's coming for them. If you can convince the lowest white man he's better than the best colored man, he won't notice you're picking his pocket. Hell, give him somebody to look down on, and he'll empty his pockets for you. Now, LBJ, by the way, when he said that, he was not lamenting it. He was bragging about it. He was bragging that that's what he did in Texas when he was able to hoodwink all of the poor whites to give over certain rights who were trying to unionize and things like that. LBJ said that as a sadistic remark, but it was telling, and it was him confessing on himself and the rest of the ruling class of how they think about white people. White people are trash to the ruling class. They don't have a stake. They know they don't have a stake in the game, but they will convince you, and they will use individuals, actors, paid puppets like Trump, who is simply a reality TV star. They will try to use people like that, and all your other talking heads, all your other white supremacists. They are paid actors to convince you that you have a stake in the game, that you are somehow more valuable. They look at you equally as trash. So any white people who has any illusion about their supremacy in the eyes of the ruling class, you can cut that shit out right now, because like Moham said, and like everybody's been saying, it's coming for you. It just hasn't got to you yet. And I know everybody has to go. We're going to issue our first directive. Unfortunately, Este's phone died, so again, we're working out the kinks in this first session. But going across the board, starting with our Minister of Defense, Bunchy Carter, to our comrade on the ground, issuing the official order to start a local community council just like this one, with the same demographic makeup as this one: a Palestinian, somebody from La Raza community, a Native American community, and the Black community. Starting with you, Mr. Carter, can you give your first directive to our comrade on the ground in Virginia?
I know you have you got your hands full. I know Virginia fairly well. You got your hands full over there. I know you specifically were talking about going into neighborhoods with gang members. The one thing that I would direct you to do, you have to find a way to make them understand that what they're a part of is a product of this suffering. It's not a choice that they made consciously. That will be the first thing, and be prepared to show them what you can offer them beyond what they're doing. Because if you have nothing else to give them, there's no way that you can break them from the cycle that they're already active in.
yeah, I was just gonna say, I'm issuing the order to recruit a Palestinian in your community. And I guess like my question is, like, where in Virginia are you going to be recruiting in a sense? Because I think there's a pretty massive Palestinian or Arab community in Virginia. I just didn't know like where you're going to be pulling from.
I'm in Northern Virginia, so
Northern,
around the DC area. So
DC area. Oh yeah, so it's tons. All right.
Tons.
Yeah, perfect. All right. So that's my order. I think it'll be easy peasy for you. Let me know if you need help.
I mean, I'm sure you're not going to have any trouble finding white folks in West Virginia.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be a problem, but set up this council, get it going. This is what we need. We need the people to see not only the ideas that we discuss here, but they need to see that they can be executed, and they need to see them being executed on a local level. So yeah, take that. I know that you are going to be able to rise to that occasion. One devil dog to another. Yeah, make it happen.
All right,
Brother. I love my fellow rednecks. I love y'all. I know y'all been abused, used and abused, lied to, all kinds of stuff. It's time to reverse that cycle. It's time to include them in the fold of this revolution. So do whatever you can to bring as many rednecks into this fold as possible. You evangelize every redneck community you can find and recruit as many as you can to bring them and evangelize them in the name of revolution. Bring them into this fold of all power, brother. You got my blessing on that. Unfortunately, Dakota had to step out to give you his final blessing, but as Overnight X said, he has your blessing. So we send you out to represent the People's Corps and recruit for us. Get that first council, local council going so we can execute united sovereignty. All power, comrade. I'm going to take you off the stage and we'll close this one out. Thank you for coming, brother.
All power. Thank you for this immense responsibility.
Absolutely.
All power.
All right, OpenIOX, you're the last Black Panther standing in this council right here. So you have to close us out with your blessing, both as part Native, part Indigenous, part Puerto Rican, part Black. You do us the honors.
In the spirit of unification, in the spirit of the liberation of all peoples, we ask for knowledge, wisdom, guidance, abundance, love, and protection, and clarity of mind as we approach these times at the front of the line. Keep us strong as we hold that front line. Ashe.
Oh,
All power to the people.
all power to the people. All right.
All power to the people.
Take care. Y'all tune in next council session.
All right, fellas.